Hello, Guatem. Thank you for that, Guatem. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. Are you guys ready to learn some etymology today? That's right. Yeah, we're doing some advanced stuff today. Yeah, that's right. Gray Knight. And that's exactly what etymology is, Squatum. That's right. So that's what we're going to be talking about a bit. Hello, Asane. Hello, Artem. Hello, Sono. Hello, A in Thailand. Hello, Selena and Uday and Ellie and Rock and Willie. Hello, Daverson. Marcy. Hello, Bahar. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so today is English Origins, which is a stream for more advanced learners. If you're a beginner, today might be a little hard for you, but you might still think it's interesting. Okay, so we're going to talk about where English words come from. Okay, to start, I just want to start easily. So here's what I'm going to do. I have some materials that I can teach you, but before we start with that stuff, how about if you guys want to just ask me, you give me a word and I will tell you where that word comes from and what it originally meant, and maybe we'll find a cool story. Okay, so if you guys want to give me some words, if there's a word you want to know about the history of this word, tell me what it is and I'll find the history for you. Okay? Dean, what are you talking about? You didn't break my heart, man. Ubiquitous. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one. Okay, so the word ubiquitous is a combination of the word ubiquity and then the letters OUS. Okay, so the word ubiquity is it's a word that comes from the Latin word ubiquitas or ubique, and the Latin word means everywhere. Okay, so ubi means where, and let's see. The QUI part of it, the quity part of it, comes from a word that means like forever or all over. So together it means all over everywhere. So there's where that one comes from. Quarantine is a fun one. Quarantine, I don't have to look that one up. That one comes from Italian. Quarenta. The original word was quarenta giorni. In Italian, quarenta giorni means 40 days. Okay, so the word quarantine comes from a long time ago in Italy and many other countries. In Italy and many other countries, they had 40 days. Your boat had to wait 40 days before people could come on to the shore, right? Before people could come off the boat, you had to stay on the boat for 40 days because of sicknesses, just like COVID, right? Just like COVID. So that's where the word quarantine comes from. It comes from the history of viruses in Italy a long time ago. Okay? Dean, no stage today. Sorry, my friend. Today is a class I'm teaching. Okay? Procrastination. Okay, that's a good one because, again, that's Latin. I know this one. Procrastination comes from the word procrastinate, right? And the Latin word is procrastinatus, and it means to wait till tomorrow. That's what procrastination is. It's waiting till tomorrow, right? So the word, let me make sure here. Procrastinatus. So pro means forward, and crastinus means belonging to tomorrow. So forward until tomorrow. That's what procrastination means. It means until tomorrow. Okay? What else do we have? Give me another word. Hello, Matteo. Yeah, quaranta giorni. That's right, Matteo. Quarantena. Right. Mm-hmm. Exasperation, that's another Latin word. Comes from the word exasperate, right? And the word exasperate, X means out. X means out, or thoroughly. And asper means rough. It means rough. So, to be exasperated is to feel irritated, to feel bothered, right? Somebody is making you angry. They're exasperating you, right? They are exasperating, right? A very tiring person that makes you tired and they're annoying and bothersome. That is an exasperating person, right? And so the word X means out, and asperity means roughness. So this word means to make you feel really rough, right? That's what it means. Thoroughly, it makes you feel thoroughly and completely rough. They're exasperating. Okay? Let's see. Preoccupation. Again, Latin. Preoccupation comes from the Latin word preoccupationum, which means to seize beforehand or to anticipation. So, pre means before, and occupare means to seize, right? So to be preoccupied means something has taken your attention before you are supposed to do something, right? You are preoccupied. That's what we say. You're preoccupied. It means you have something on your mind, and maybe you should be watching your daughter's performance on stage. She's singing, but you're preoccupied about some business decision that happened at work that was really bad. Someone got fired, and you're upset. So your mind is seized. Something happened to your mind that took your mind so that it's occupied and you can't pay attention. Okay? Mira, today I'm teaching about where English words come from. Okay? And what the original meaning was, and sometimes they have cool stories about them too. Okay? Okay. Embourgeoisement. Okay, wait a minute. I don't think so. I think you're combining some words there, Guatem. Bourgeoisie is a French word, right? Bourgeois, that's a French word. And then you put M and ment on it, and I'm not sure where you got that from. Where did you see that from? Because there it is. Yeah, that's a word you do not need, Guatem. I've never seen that word in my life. I don't know why you need it. Okay? If you want to know where it comes from, again, it's a French word. It means the acquisition or adoption of middle-class values and manners. That's funny. So to be bourgeoisie, when we say it now, it means to be too fancy, too rich, too fancy, right? You're bourgeoisie, right? Bougie, right? That's the rap term for it. She's so bougie, right? Bourgeois comes from the French term, which means a town dweller, right? It means like an average person, a person in the town, in the city. So yeah, basically means middle class. So bourgeois means middle class. Embourgeoisement, which is a really weird word that you'll never need, means to adopt middle class values. Willie, we're not doing those today. Those are phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs don't really have an etymology. Okay, Willie? But you can save that question for my next stream. Okay? Reconsideration is, again, Latin, which reconsideration is just re plus consideration, right? So to consider is the word that you're looking for. Consider comes from the words con, meaning together, and sidus, meaning the stars. So it's funny, the original meaning of this one means to look at some stars. When you consider something, you think about it, right? And it's just like they used to watch the stars. They used to look at the stars and think about them. They considered them. So the word consider means to think about or be aware of and consider the concept of, to think of the concept of, right? So the original meaning means to look at a group of stars. That's kind of cool. I like that one. So reconsideration, again, to look at a group of stars, meaning, again, to think about something. Okay? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious comes from the movie Mary Poppins. It doesn't really have an etymology. It's a made-up word that just means cool. To bristle at something, the word bristle actually, it originally means the coarse hair from an animal, right? So, for example, brooms. When we sweep, right? What do you use at the end of a broom? Many brooms have bristles at the end of them. Okay, and a bristle is a kind of hair that's long and coarse, which means hard, right? So to bristle at something is an interesting term. That's more like the hairs on your neck will stand up when you're scared or nervous or worried about someone, right? You think they're a threat somehow. So when you bristle at something, it's a idiom or it's kind of a phrasal verb, I guess, but it means to feel uncomfortable or unhappy about something someone did. You bristle at it, okay? But and again, the original meaning, it comes from the bristles of hair on animals. So there it is. So you feel annoyed or offended or bothered by something someone says or does. That's to bristle at something, okay? Do I take online classes, Dean? Do you mean do I give online classes? I teach online, yes. Hello, Amir. Hello, Carolina. Spontaneous, there's a good one. Let's look at the word spontaneous. Where does spontaneous come from? Spontaneous. Spontaneous. Spontaneous comes from the Latin word spontaneous, which means of one's free will. So the word sponte means your own choice. So yeah, the original meaning of spontaneous means something you did that's your choice. It was your idea. It was your free will. It's spontaneous. Okay, now the meaning is a little different. It means something you do without thinking or preparing. Okay? Jubilant. Jubilant is a word that means happy. And jubilant comes from the Latin word iubilare, which means... So jubilant is related to the word hallelujah. Have you ever heard anybody say hallelujah? It means like, yay, right? We did it, okay? And the original meaning is to shout for joy. So to be jubilant is to be happy so much that you want to shout for joy. You shout like, yay, okay? That's to be jubilant, okay? And it comes from the word iubilare. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Iubilare, which means to yell out, and with happiness. Okay. Gullible is another good one. Gullible. And if you guys want to know where am I finding all these, I use an online dictionary. It's called etymonline.com. Whoops, I spelled it wrong. etymonline.com. It's a free online etymology dictionary. Okay, gullible. It's from the word gullibility, which comes from the word gull. Wait a minute. Let me read. Interesting. Oh, wow. See, now this one has a cool story. So the word gullibility, what does gullibility mean? To be gullible means you'll believe anything, right? What is a gull? Do you guys know what a gull is? What's a gull? Gull. What is a gull? Yeah, Mateo, do you know what a gull is? It's a bird. It's a bird, that's right. A seagull, right? We call them seagulls, right? Those big birds that try to steal your food when you're at the beach, those are gulls, right? Now, a gull will throw, if you throw something at a gull, the chances are they will try to eat it, right? So you can throw a piece of bread at a gull and he'll try to eat it. Okay, you can throw a piece of moldy bread and he'll try to eat it. Okay, yeah, of course they are. Yeah, they eat just about anything. When they're at the beach, they'll steal just about anything. There are pictures of them, you know, videos of them stealing food from the store even. They're actually kind of smart. But they're also very hungry and they eat a lot, right? So here's the thing. A gull will eat anything you throw to them. Gullibility means you believe anything that's told to you. That's why they're related. So if you are gullible, you are like a gull. A gull will eat anything. You will accept anything that is told to you. See, now that's a cool story. I didn't know that one. That's a new one from me. Gullibility comes from the word gull because birds, they'll eat anything when you throw them at it, throw it at them. Right? So there you go. That's a good one. That's a good one, right? Gullible. All right. Any other words? Spectacular. That's a good one. Spectacular. So this one is fun. This one comes from the word spectacle. And spectacle has two meanings. One is a spectacle is something that you see that's like amazing. Usually it's like something shocking, surprising, amazing, interesting. That's a spectacle, okay? But then there's also another word, spectacles, which means glasses. It's an old word that means glasses that you wear, right? So the word spectacle is related to spectacular, and a spectacle comes from the Latin word spectaculum, which means a public show. It's a public show, something that people will watch. It's a spectacle. So if a bunch of people are watching it and it is something to watch, then it is spectacular, right? People wouldn't watch it if it wasn't cool. So it's spectacular. It's a spectacle. It's something that people want to watch. That's another good one. I like that one. I should write a dictionary. Yeah, I wish. There was a similar word for gullibility that was famous as well. Which one? Yeah, but wow, gullibility, that's a good one. I didn't know that one. That's a good one. Okay, more words. Give me another word and I'll tell you where it comes from. Give me another word and I'll tell you where it comes from. Drift. Okay? Short one. Interesting. Wait a minute. So, Carolina, do you know what a snowdrift is? Do you know what a snowdrift is? A snowdrift is when it snows, the wind will kind of blow the snow up into big piles. Those are called drifts. Okay, kind of like in the desert, the way a sand dune forms, right? You have those hills of sand. The wind is blowing them around to make those, right? The same thing with the snow. The wind will blow them around to, and then they form in certain areas, right? So the word drift has a few meanings. One can be a noun, meaning something that was formed, a drift like that, something that was formed by currents pushing it there. To drift is a verb, meaning to be moved by current, right? By air current, by water current. So if you're in the water and the water is pushing you, then or pulling you, then you are drifting. Okay? If you are driving your car and you let off the gas and you're just letting the car move forward with its momentum, then you are drifting forward. Okay? And if you let go of the wheel, then the car might drift to the right or drift to the left because the current is taking it that way. Well, it's not the current in this case, but yeah. Anyway, so drift is an interesting word because it actually originally means it's talking about snow, because snow, when it falls, it's pushed by the winds to certain areas. So when you are pushed by something to a certain place, then you are drifting. Okay? Pigeon. The word pigeon. Pigeon comes from the French word pigeon, which means a young dove. That comes from the Latin word pipionum, which means a young, it still means a young bird. So the word pigeon is related to the old Latin word pipire, and pipire means the sound that a bird makes. We call it a chirp, right? So the Latin word was pipire, 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 pipire. It's like a bird sound, and it meant a small bird. So pipire became pigeon, and it just means a small bird. Okay? But the sound, it comes from the sound that birds make. Okay? Leverage, another Latin word. Leverage comes from the word lever and udge, or age, on the end of it. So lever comes from the Latin word levare, which means to raise, or to make it lighter. So the word lever actually comes from a word that means to raise something or make something lighter. Why? Because a lever uses physics to make things lighter, right? To move things more easily. So yeah, the word lever comes from the word that means to raise up, to make it not heavy, because that's what a lever does. Okay? Pivotal comes from the word pivot. So pivotal means something that's important, that everything depends on. It's pivotal, right? This moment is pivotal, means that once this happens, many other things depend on it, right? So the word pivot means a pin or a wheel on which some other things turn. So if I have this bowl and I have this finger on it, my finger is now a pivot. This bowl can turn on my finger. My finger is the pivot, okay? It's a pin, which a wheel can turn on, an object can turn on, okay? Let's see. So it's a turning point, right? What is a pivotal moment is a turning point, Artem, right? And what is this, Artem? It's a turning point. Look at that. It's literally a point that it turns on. Right? So that's what a pivotal moment is. It's a moment that's a turning point because it's a turning point. Okay? Dupable, dupable, to dupe. So any word that has able on the end of it, able, means able to be something, right? So comfortable means able to have comfort, right? Doable means able to be done. Okay, readable means able to be read. Okay, so dupable means able to be duped. But I don't know if you spelled it right. Let's see. So dupe. A dupe is a noun that means a person that is easily tricked, right? So this word, the word dupe, it comes from a French word for a really, it's a bird that is really, it looks very rich. It's an extravagant bird. It looks very fancy, this bird, but it's also very dumb. It's a dumb bird that looks really rich. So when you are a dupe, you're that dumb rich guy walking down the street who looks like you're easily tricked. Okay, so the word dupe actually comes from French thieves. They would say he's a dupe. Means that's the guy you can steal from. He's stupid. He's rich and stupid. He's a dupe. He's dupable. Okay, let's see. Phenomenon. That's another, I think that one's Greek. Phenomenon. Phenomenon comes from the Latin word phenomenonum, which comes from the Greek, phenomenon, which means that which appears or is seen. So the word phenomenon, it means something that happened that you observed, a thing that you saw and it happened. It was directly observed. It's a fact. It's a phenomenon. And the original meaning means to appear, that you can see it. It's a phenomenon. If you can see it, then it happened. Now it's a phenomenon. Okay? So yeah, it just means to show, basically. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, what else do we have? Dean, I don't know who Sarah Osman is. Where did I get that plate? This bowl, you mean? I don't know. You wanted to say dupable because it's similar to gullibility. Yes, they would be similar to gullibility. Yeah, and they're similar in two ways. They both have a history of birds, right? Gullible means stupid like a gull. Dupable means stupid like a dupe, which was a kind of stupid bird. Okay, so they both actually mean you're like a dumb bird who will eat anything. Okay, summary. Summary, also Latin, if I remember right. Summary comes from the Latin word summarius, which means, or summa. The word summa means whole, the total, right? So a summary is like a description of the whole, right? A description of the whole is a summary. Okay? Estate. Estate comes from the French word estat, which comes from the Latin word status, which means the state or condition or place. So the word estate comes from the Latin word status, which just means a place. So that's also where we get the word state from. Like I live in the state of Ohio, right? So a state is a place. This is my estate. Okay? A mirage is a phenomenon. It is, yeah. Mirage is a fun word. Mirage is a word that comes from the Latin word mirare, which means mirror. It means a mirror. So when you see a mirage, what does it look like? It has that quality of like a reflection, like a mirror. Yeah, so that's where mirage comes from. Hello, Sarah. Thank you. Hello, Angela. The Sarah from Pakistan. I don't totally know. I'm not exactly sure. She left for some reason. She went to go teach by herself somehow. So I'm not exactly sure what happened to her. What's the on time and in time? On time means you showed up before you were late. Let me think. How do I describe this? Wow, that is a hard one to explain. If I say I was on time for my train, that means my train left at 9 a.m. and I was there at 9 a.m. If I say I got there in time, that is, you're telling someone that maybe you were late, you were running late, and you were afraid you wouldn't make it. So you got there in time, right? So on time means you were not late. But if you say, I hope I get there in time, that's implying that you might be late, that it might be too late, right? So on time means you got there on the time, right? In time means kind of, it's almost like future and future perfect in the sense of like it's everything from now until that future time. That's in time. I don't know if I explained that very well, Ezra. Sorry, that's probably not a great explanation. Aura. The word aura. What is an aura? An aura is like a spiritual word. It means like the energy that's around you is your aura. So if you have a good energy, then you have a good aura, right? If you meet somebody and you feel like they're just not a good person, they have a bad aura. Like there's some energy about them that makes you feel not comfortable. So the word aura comes from the Latin word, which means a breeze or the wind. Interesting. Yeah, the original meaning of the word aura means the wind. It means air in motion. Weird. The modern uses are all figurative. So the original meaning of aura literally meant wind. Now the modern meaning is very different. It means a spiritual thing. It means the energy around you, right? Like what kind of wind is around you, I guess, maybe. You know, do you have a good wind or a bad wind around you, right? Something like that, maybe. Scent. Cent is from the word meaning 100, right? So centum in Latin means 100. 100. So 1 cent means you need 100 of those to make $1. Okay? Thank you, Aya. Hello, Nayo. Hello, Andres. How come you have estate and state in the U.S.? Because they mean different things. So a state is like a province or a region, right? Some places call them provinces, right? So Ohio is a state, Kentucky is a state, California, New York, Florida, those are states. But the word estate in modern terms, it means someone's property, someone's house. The most common way we use it is when someone dies. Maybe someone dies and they have to sell their house and everything in the house, all of their property, their car, their boat, their drums, their, whatever they have, all their food, their cooking equipment, everything in their house is their estate. So they have what we call an estate sale. You can go to an estate sale and you can buy anything that was on the property, right? So all the stuff they had in the house and the house are all for sale. That's an estate sale. Hello, Mustafa. Okay, let's see. You want to know the difference between the youth, youngsters, juvenile, and teenagers. Okay. Youngsters is like a word that it's kind of a slang term, just means young people, right? Those youngsters over there. But it's usually said by older people, right? Young people won't call other people youngsters. Hey, did you see those other youngsters? We're youngsters and they're youngsters. No. Only old people call young people youngsters, right? Youth is a general term. It can mean young people, or it can mean the state of being young, right? So if I say in my youth, I'd gotten a lot of trouble in my youth, right? It means when I was younger. Juvenile is an academic or formal word that means just before the age of maturity, right? So, juvenile means not mature yet. You are not an adult yet. You have not grown up. You're not ripe, right? Juvenile, let me look at the word juvenile. Juvenile. So the word juvenile, it comes from the Latin word iuvenis, which means young, right? So it's a formal word that means young. So we have child, we have adolescent, then we have juvenile after that. So child, adolescent, juvenile, then adult. Okay. Let's see. What do I think about smoking? I think it's terrible. Let's see. Yeah, Guatem said it better than I did. So in time is used to talk about things that you made it in a fixed amount of time. So you made it within that amount of time, right? So in time, maybe you should think about it as being within the amount of time, within the allotted amount of time is a good way to think of in time. On time is more like you things happened at the moment that you planned on, right? Okay. Hello to all the new people. Asta says aura is a medical term used for symptoms that occur before a seizure. Well, that's weird. I've never heard of that before. That's interesting. You see a light or color before a seizure occurs? Interesting. I'm going to ask my sister about that. She's a doctor. Hello, Saba. Let's see. Hello, Victor. The word pattern, Willie. Pattern is a cool word. I like this word. I know the history of this word. The word pattern comes from the Latin word patre, which means father. Okay, so let's look up that word. So the Latin word pater, P-A-T-E-R, Pater, is a Latin word that means father, right? And when a father has a son, hopefully, the father will be a good model for the son, right? You hope that the father is a good model for the son. And what is a pattern? A pattern is a model that you can use to make another one, right? So the word pattern comes from the word father, because your father is supposed to be a good model for you to make another one. Okay? Juvenile is used for describing specific diseases before 16. Right. That's a juvenile age. Right. And remember, Asta, medical terms are not always useful in the common world, right? Sometimes the terms that are useful, they're only useful as medical terms, right? Or they have an alternative meaning that's a more common one, right? Like aura. Okay? Juvenile can be physically or mentally, Muhammad. And the word expect, to expect something, means that you know something is coming. You think it's going to happen. You plan on it happening. You expect it to happen, right? So expect comes from the Latin word expectare, which ex means thoroughly, like a very much, and spectare means to look. So to expect means that you plan to see something. That's what expect means. It means that you thoroughly plan on seeing something. You expect it. Okay? So to expect in the modern sense means I expect it will rain this weekend, which means I think it will rain. Based on what I know, it looks like it will rain. I expect my friend to arrive at 4 o'clock. It means at 4 o'clock, I know I will see my friend, right? Expect, meaning the word spec, like spectacles, to see, spectacular, okay? Those are all things you see. So something that's expected is something that you plan to see, okay? Okay. Mr. Positive, learning is a process. It's like climbing a mountain. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's difficult. You have to deal with both. Okay? Affirmation versus confirmation. To affirm something comes from the Latin word affirmare, which means to make it steady or strengthen something, to make it stronger, right? So add means to, and fermare means strengthen. So affirmation means to make firm. To make firm, solid, right? Confirmation so in this case, con means very, and formare again means strong. So, so what's the difference in the modern sense? Let's see. So they almost mean the same thing. Affirming something means that you state something is true, right? I affirm it means I say it happened with conviction. But to confirm something means to validate something as true. So it's really semantics, right? The difference between them is kind of very minimal, right? The difference between them, the meanings are almost the same. The difference is there are some times when you want to use affirm in some situations, and sometimes when you want to use confirm in situations. So, for example, you confirm your reservations with a restaurant. If you have a reservation for a restaurant at 6 p.m., you call and you say, hey, I'd like to confirm our reservations at 6 p.m. And they will say, oh, yes, we see you. You're here, 6 p.m. We expect you at 6 p.m., right? So to affirm something is more like... let's see. To affirm your commitment to something, right? Which means I say I will do it, right? Or to... affirm... Yeah, that one's a hard one. All these examples are not great. Nevertheless, the department continues to affirm its commitment to public safety. So, affirm versus confirm. If I say, nevertheless, the department continues to affirm its commitment to public safety, affirming is saying, yes, we will. We still believe this thing. We still believe it to be true. We're going to continue to believe that to be true. We continue to follow this path. We're affirming it, right? To confirm is more like someone saying, are you that? I heard you were that. And then you say, yes, that's true. I am that. Right? So when you affirm something, it's like no one asked. You're just saying, I believe this thing to be true. Right? But when you confirm something, it's more like someone needs you to prove something. Okay? That's the big difference between them. Okay. So many comments, guys. I'm trying to keep up with the comments. Please be patient. There's too many. The word trivial, that's a fun one, too. So the word trivial comes from the Latin word trivialis, which means common. Common, it's like just not special, right? And it actually, the original meaning comes from the word trivium, which means where three roads meet. So it has the word, the letters TRI means three, right? Triangle, right? So where three roads meet. Where three roads meet is a public place, right? So there's a road coming from here, and there's a road coming from here, and there's a road coming from here. It's where all the people can come together to meet. It's a trivial place, which means it's a common place. Now the word means anything common, not special. It's trivial. Okay? Pandemonium, that's another good one. Pan means all. Daemonium means demons. So pandemonium, what is pandemonium? It's chaos, right? It's chaos. So Guatem, the word pandemonium means the chaos is happening because of all the demons. That's a fun one. Pandemonium means many demons or all the demons. Noah, I don't know any other YouTube channels from other people. I'm sorry. I just know me. Mortgage, that's another weird one. The word mortgage, right? What is a mortgage? It's the thing that you pay for your house, right? Right? You pay every month to pay off your mortgage, almost like rent, right? But the word mortgage actually comes from the French words mortgage or mortgage, which means a dead pledge. Mort, M-O-R-T means dead, death. And so why do we call it that? Because a mortgage is the deal dies when you either pay it off or when you die, right? So the deal is over. When is a mortgage over? A mortgage is over when you pay it or when you die. Mort meaning to die. Muerte, right? So that's why we call it a mortgage. Either you pay it off or you die. That's the only way to finish that contract. Did I have a bad time? USA Cats, why do you think I had a bad time? When do we use the word bland? Tomas, the word bland, since we're talking about etymology, bland comes from the French word bland, meaning flattering or complimentary, which comes from the Latin word blandus, which means smooth talker. Interesting. How'd that happen? Oh, well, that's interesting. So something that is bland doesn't have a lot of flavor, right? So it's not upsetting. It doesn't bother you, right? Some people, when they eat foods, oh, it's too spicy, or it's too much garlic, or it's too much salt, or it's too sweet, right? But if it's bland, then it doesn't bother anybody, right? So the word bland actually comes from the word that means you're a smooth talker. When you talk to people, it doesn't bother anyone, okay? But bland is a word that in America, we usually use it when we're talking about flavor. It's very bland. It's a flavor. It means it doesn't have a lot of flavor. It's almost flavorless. It's bland, right? So in my opinion, the word bland is often used to mean has no flavor. It's bland. Okay, it needs something. It needs some seasoning, some salt, some garlic, some onions, some peppers, something to give it some flavor. Right now, it tastes like nothing. It's bland. Okay, and I don't know if I've ever heard it used in a way to mean not aggressive. I don't think I've ever heard that. Gautam, checkmate, comes from Persian. Shahmat means the king is dead or the king is captured. Ambidextrous. Are you testing me, Gautam? I know all these. Ambi means both. Dexter means, if I remember right, it means the right side. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, right. So dexterity, the original meaning of dexterity actually means right-handed, right? It means to be strong like you're right-handed. You're dexterous means you can move like your good hand, right? So ambidextrous means ambi means both sides, and dexterous means like the right hand. So both sides are like the right hand. That's what ambidextrous means. Juggernaut. That one, if I remember right, is from Hindi. Yeah, it comes from Krishna, right? It's the wagon. The wagon that has the image of Krishna is a juggernaut. It's a giant wagon, right? So the word juggernaut now means any kind of a giant, massive, powerful thing. It's a juggernaut, like a juggernaut of business, right? Would be a huge business company. Google is a juggernaut, right? Okay. Prisoner. Wow, I can't go so fast. Prison. So prisoner, the word ER just means a person in prison, right? So prison, though, the word prison comes from the Latin word prensionum, which means to take. So a prison is a place where you take people, right, to keep them, okay? Gerrymandering. That's a modern one. To gerrymander is from modern American politics. There was a guy named Elbridge Gerry. So there was a guy in America who was a politician. He was a governor named Elbridge Gerry. And he did a trick where he changed all the districts so that when they voted, he would win, right? And so a salamander is a kind of lizard, right? And we often call people, if we're dishonest, we say you're like a lizard, you're a snake. You're a snake in the grass, you're a lizard, you're dishonest. So gerrymander is Jerry, his name, his last name is Jerry, and mander, salamander, like a lizard. So it means to do something politically dishonest to win, right? Like redistricting. That's gerrymandering. Okay. Oh, wow. Trying to keep up, but man, you guys are hard. Let's see. Distinguish. That's a good one. Distinguish comes from the Latin word distinguere, which means to separate. So to distinguish means that you can tell this one is different than this one. And the original meaning of distinguish, dis means apart, and stinguere means to choose, right? It's kind of complicated, but it means to make a mark on something, to separate it. So you say, well, we have, let's say we made bread. We made 50 loaves of bread, right? 25 of them are for this person and 25 of them are for this person. So on this one, we're going to make a little mark on the bread. We're going to stick it. We're going to prick it with a little thing so we can see these are different than these. You have distinguished them. Okay, so the original meaning means to make a mark on something so that you can tell them apart. You have two kinds of bread. Now they look the same, but if you put a mark on one, now it's different. It's distinguishable. Okay? Oh. Hello, Gunter. Blonde Aldo, like plain food. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, in Spanish you say so-so? That's funny. Okay. Hello, Mona. Amir, there are many Persian words in English. You can look them up. Do a search for Persian, English words with Persian origin. Yeah. Shachmat is German, but it comes from Arabic, which comes from Persian, Gunter. Yeah. But maybe you're talking about a different one than I am. I'm not sure. Do I use a blot out of the blue commonly? We use out of the blue. I don't know about a blot out of the blue. We definitely use out of the blue a lot. Alex, I'm using my computer to do my live streams. I'm not using my phone. That's why I can share. False snake. Yeah. Lizards are cute? Well, maybe you think so. The word propaganda. Oh, that's a fun one. Let's look at that word. Propaganda comes from the word propagare, which means to spread. So the word propaganda is related to the word propagate, So when you propagate seeds, you spread them all over, right? To propagate seeds would be to spread them all over so that they grow everywhere. Propaganda is to spread information so it grows everywhere. Heinous. Let's look at the word heinous. Heinous comes from it comes from French, which means hateful, odious, atrocious. But the original word is actually German, Frankish German, Hatien, which means hatred. So the word heinous originally means hatred. Okay? Hateful. Okay? Mona, yeah, I don't know. A blot out of the blue. What I'm trying to tell you is that in America, the idiom that we use we don't say a blot, we just say out of the blue, which means that idiom comes from either sailing or planes, right? When you suddenly see a ship, there's a ship, look, there's a ship on the ocean. It's out of the blue. There's blue ocean, blue sky, and now there's a ship. Wow, it just showed up. It's there suddenly. You see it out of the blue. It's surprising, right? Same thing with an airplane. An airplane's far, far away. You can't see it, but as it gets closer, it's suddenly out of the blue, right? So the blot part, though, I've not heard that ever used before. Paradise is one. That's right. Paradise comes from the Persian word. They had a word that meant a beautiful garden, right? They used to build these big, beautiful gardens in Persia, and they called them paradisum, I think. So paradise is it comes from the word meaning a beautiful garden. Pneumo ono ultra microscopic silico volcano oconiosis. There you go. And many people have asked me to do that word, and it's actually not as hard as you think because I know etymology. Pneumo means lungs. Ono means let's see. Oh no, I forgot the meaning. One? Is it really? No, it's not, is it? Maybe it is. Yeah, it's one. And ultra, very, micro, small. Microscopic means to see small. Silico means from silicon. Volcano means some sort of heat, something or other. I don't remember. But anyway, it's, yeah. Okay. In due course, is it formal or would you say it in daily conversation too? I think you can say that when in daily conversation, but it will sound a little more formal, and that means it's a little more serious. So if I'm having a casual conversation with someone about something and they keep asking me questions about it, you know, like they're impatient, at the end, I might look at them and say, in due course, which is my way of saying, shut up, be patient. It will happen eventually, right? But because I elevated my language to something more formal, I'm telling them to, you know, hey, in due course means shut up, be patient, and wait, okay? Yogurt. Yogurt is a word that comes from Greek, I believe. Turkish. No, sorry, Turkish, not Greek. Turkish. So yog means to condense. So it's funny. The word yogurt is actually, it's a mispronunciation of the Turkish word yogurt. In the Turkish word, the G is a soft sound, so it's yogurt, something like that. So we heard or saw the word and we pronounced it wrong. The Turkish word has a soft G, but we pronounced it with a hard G. Out of the blue, yeah, it means surprising. You know, the rain came out of the blue. I didn't expect to get into that college. That came out of the blue. Means completely unexpected. The meaning of the word sophisticated. So sophisticated comes from the word sophisticate, which sophisticatus is the Latin word. It means So this one's funny. The word sophisticated, the modern meaning of the word sophisticated means complicated, educated, formal. It means something more elite. To be sophisticated. Somehow it's more elite. It's elevated in somehow. It's sophisticated. That's the modern meaning. But the original meaning of the word, to be a sophist, meant that you were like a liar. You were like somebody who told things that weren't true, right? So originally the word means to be sophisticated means to make something impure or to cheat, to lie and cheat, right? So it's weird. The modern meaning of the word sophisticated means somehow elite, complicated, interesting. You know, he's sophisticated means he's interesting. He's educated. He has an interesting way of looking at things. He has an interesting set of experiences. But the original meaning of he's sophisticated means he's a liar. Okay? Heinous. Yeah, heinous means terrible, like evil. He's a heinous person. Means an evil person. Okay? Ditto. Do we use it interchangeably with me too? Yes, but I wouldn't use it too often, and I would usually only use that in very informal situations, right? If I'm with my friends, it's an informal situation. I'm not talking to my boss when I say ditto, okay? That's not a good one to use with your boss, okay, or anybody who's respectable, okay? Oh, good Lord, I'm trying to keep up. Oh, yes, it's always nice when someone calls me fat. Especially when I can't even see you. That's not fair, is it? It's not fair when you comment on the way I look when I can't see how you look, so I don't get to comment on how you look. You know what I mean? That's not fair, right? Yeah, that's okay. I removed them. Some people have to learn the hard way. You know, I wish it weren't true. But yeah, sophisticated is still not clear for you. Yeah, it's a hard word, Evgenia. So to be sophisticated, let's look at the modern meaning more, okay? Okay, so the meaning of sophisticated now, the modern meaning is a person or ideas or taste or manners that are worldly, right? Not naive, not naive, right? So if really sophisticated is like the opposite of naive, right? If I say he's very naive, that's a word that means he doesn't know that much and he's easily tricked and he doesn't know a lot about the world, right? But sophisticated is more like worldly. You have a lot more experience. You have a lot more knowledge about things. You are sophisticated, okay? It can also mean taste. I could say this has a sophisticated taste. It means it feels like somehow it's elevated. It's not just plain. It's not simple. It's complicated. It's complex. It's interesting. It's sophisticated. It doesn't have just one flavor. It makes you feel many things. It's sophisticated. Okay? Or sometimes sophisticated can mean just complicated, right? This is a sophisticated mechanism. Means a sophisticated lock would be a complicated lock, complex lock. Okay? So, other words that mean sophisticated, you could say refined, you could say worldly, cultivated, experienced. Okay? Yeah, so to be sophisticated in the modern sense means you know a lot more about the world. Yeah, as opposed to being naive where you don't. Okay? You're welcome, Evgenia. Okay, what else do we have here? What's the most commonly used verb for movies in the cinema? To show, to play, to screen. If you're going to a movie, I'm going to see a movie. I'm going to, we say I'm going to see a movie, right? So if you go to the movie theater, we're going to a movie. We're going to see a movie. Those are the two things we say. If you are at home, then you play a movie for maybe your friends, right? But if you're going to the cinema, then we say, I'm going to see a movie. Okay? See would be the main word. All right? Dean, what do you think the meaning of walking on eggshells is? Just imagine walking on eggshells and you should understand the meaning. Is walking on eggshells easy? What happens if you walk on eggshells? They will break, right? So to walk on eggshells, it means that somebody around you is very easily upset. They'll cry, they'll get mad, they'll whatever, something about them. Right now they're in a very bad place. So when you're around them, you try to be really nice. Are you okay? Can I get you some water? Do you want me to leave you alone? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. You are walking on eggshells. It's like you're tiptoeing around like, please don't be upset. Please don't be upset. You're carefully trying to walk on the eggs without breaking them. That's walking on eggshells. You're carefully trying to be around someone without upsetting them. That's walking on eggshells. Okay? Let's see. Agree versus compromise. Agree is a general term that means you both believe the same thing. Compromise means two or more people came together to make a decision that we're all happy about, right? So three people come together, maybe four people come together, maybe two people come together, right? And he wants this and I want that. And we decide, well, he's going to give me a little bit and I'm going to give him a little bit. That's a compromise, right? So when two or more sides try to talk to each other to come to some agreement, that's compromising. To agree is just a general term that means I agree, okay? When you compromise, you must agree, okay? But every agreement is not a compromise, okay? Can we say sophisticated countries like the USA? Yeah, sure. Does the word worldly have two meanings, life experienced or relative? Yes, it does, Tomas. Yeah, worldly can have two meanings. One means you know a lot about the world, and the other one means things that are part of the world. Worldly things means like materialistic, okay? The things of materials, those are worldly things, okay? All right, wow, I caught up. Shoo, that was a long time. I finally caught up. Is concur the same as compromise? No. Concur means I also agree. To concur. Let's look at that word. Concur means to run together, right? So we use this term in law, in court, right? Maybe someone has two crimes, right? They stole a car and they hurt someone. Those are two different crimes. So the judge will give them punishment for both. But the judge can choose two different things. The judge could have those, we call it a sentence, right? A sentence in court means what punishment the judge gave you, the time period the judge gave you of punishment, that's your sentence, right? 1 year sentence means 1 year in jail, right? So he could give you 1 year for stealing the car and 1 year for hurting someone, and he can choose to say, I want them to run concurrently or consecutively. So one means at the same time, concurrently. Two, consecutively means first you're going to serve a year for stealing the car, then you're going to do a year for hurting someone. Concurrent versus consecutive. So concur means I agree, I concur. And in this case, it just means that you think the same thing. Yeah. Okay. Adiola, can I explain who versus whom? If you're not taking a grammar test, if you're not taking an IELTS test or a TOEFL test or some kind of an English test, then here's my advice about the word whom. Don't use it. Ever. If you come to America, the chances are you will never hear the word whom. It's a word that we honestly, I'm pretty sure we won't even use it anymore in another 50 years because the word has no purpose. It's not purposeful. If I say the word who by accident, no one will be confused. So if I say, with whom are you going to the movies? If I say, who are you going to the movies with? Are you going to be confused? No. That's why it's a stupid word. It really doesn't add anything to the language or anything to meaning. It does not. If you are confused by the difference between who and whom, then I think you have bigger problems. Okay? So, I just think whom is a word that doesn't need to be used ever anymore. You know? If you want to sound formal, you put prepositions behind the relative clauses, right? Yeah. But, again, don't do that just to sound formal, you know? Let's see. So yeah, whom honestly is a word that I just really think there's just no point unless you have to learn it for a test. Just forget about it and never think of it again. Okay. Don't lose any sleep about the word whom. Okay. Okay, guys, it has been an hour and 25 minutes. It's time for me to go. It's time for me to go. I want to sound formal nowadays. People get upset sometimes. Well, Amir, that's a good, important lesson to learn. You know, language is a big part of diplomacy, and knowing what language to use in which situation is a big part of diplomacy, right? So, don't assume that formal language is always the language that will make people feel happy or comfortable. No, formal language can make people feel uncomfortable, often. Okay? Yeah, it's a stupid word, Aliola. It's a stupid word. I mean, I'm an English teacher, but I'm just telling you, it just doesn't matter. It's such a stupid word that has no real... I'm curious. Let me look at something very quickly. Wait a minute. So even AI, when I typed in, why do we still use whom? AI said, we still use whom primarily in formal writing and in formal speech because it is the grammatically correct pronoun to use when referring to the object of a verb or preposition. But again, it just doesn't matter because if I say, let's see, right, the most common way is to whom it may concern, right? To whom it may concern. But even that sounds weird. To whom it may concern. That sounds old and out of date. It's formal, yeah, but weird. Okay, it's almost formal in an awkward way at this point, right? So, to whom shall I give this? If you have a choice of to whom shall I give this and who should I give this to, say who should I give this to? All right. Let's see. What are some other examples? To whom was the letter addressed? Who was the letter addressed to? Whom do you believe? Who do you believe? It's the word whom is basically like the human appendix. You don't need it. Okay? If you take out your appendix, nothing happens to you. Right? If you take out the word whom, it does not make a difference in the world. Okay? There's no one whom I love more. There's no one who I love more. It's redundant and extraneous and unneeded. There is, for every sentence that uses the word whom, there's an alternative way to state the same thing properly using the word who. So that's my answer to you. Anything that can be said with whom can be said with who in another way. Okay? Dean, no, whom is not informal. Whom is formal, my friend. Whom is very formal. It's the opposite, Dean. Okay, who is the informal one? Okay? Yeah, whom is definitely formal. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a formal word. To whom do you believe, as opposed to who do you believe? Okay, yeah. Remember that language is not math. There are always alternative choices, right? And whom is one that I just think we just don't need it anymore. So forget about it, all right? Okay, and that's going to be it for me today, okay? I'm going to go. Thank you guys for watching. Please follow my YouTube. If you didn't follow my YouTube yet, go to my YouTube. I have many, many live streams on my YouTube where I teach about reading, writing, listening, speaking, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, confidence. Whatever questions you have in English, I have already answered them, and I have many videos. Just go watch them. Okay, so if you need tips about vocabulary, watch my videos. If you need tips about grammar, watch my videos. If you need tips about reading practice or writing practice or speaking practice or pronunciation, watch my videos. All right, once again, here's my YouTube. Go to my YouTube, follow. All right. All right, thank you guys. I will see you guys next time, okay? Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening. Bye-bye.